You ever notice how the people who scream the loudest about doing good are sometimes the ones with the most to hide? Let's talk about Ashton Kutcher. Yeah, that Ashton Kutcher, the one who got a standing ovation in Congress for crying about saving children. The one who co-founded Thor to fight child exploitation online. The Hollywood golden boy turned tech activist. But behind all that applause, there's a growing buzz, and it's not the good kind. People are starting to piece together something that's been hiding in plain sight for years. Kutcher's longtime friendship with Diddy. They weren't just cool acquaintances or red carpet buddies. They were tight, like train form marathons together. Tight. Like you, single quotes, at penthouse parties every other weekend tight. And that's where things start to get real weird. See, Diddy's not just some music mogul anymore. In recent months, his name has been dragged through some of the darkest allegations Hollywood's ever seen. Trafficking, underage guests, hidden surveillance cameras, and NDAs torn to shreds. Federal raids, lawsuits, and a growing pile of evidence are painting a picture that's got people whispering, pointing, and now shouting. And Ashton, he's not just on the sidelines. According to multiple insiders and alleged witness accounts, he was in those rooms, not just a guest, but someone comfortable enough to bring others in. And that's where Diddy's adopted daughter enters the scene. Let's call her Ava. Now Ava, she's not new to this world. Raised by Diddy, she's seen the glitz, the parties, the celebrities, but also the secrets, the locked doors, and the eyes that look away when things get too real. And recently, she started to speak quietly at first, through people close to her. But her words loud enough to shake the table. She's not just saying Diddy's parties were shady. She's saying Ashton helped make them happen. According to the whispers, Ashton would pull Ava aside during these gatherings, introduce her to people, tell her she belonged in those spaces. And back then, Ava idolized him, saw him as a mentor, a big brother, someone safe, someone good. But in hindsight, she's saying those moments weren't what they seemed, that they were part of a setup, part of something much bigger, something ... calculated. And here's where it gets even more disturbing. Well, Ashton was out here testifying in front of Congress, building a brand on protecting children. He was allegedly still attending Diddy's infamous events, and people have questions. Real ones? It's like, how do you fight trafficking by day and party with the accused by night? His silence, deafening. But his body language in old interviews, screaming. There's this one moment, he's on Hot Ones. So, I can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them. There was one moment, it's not really a party story, but our relationship is really bizarre. He stumbles, laughs nervously, says, I can't tell that one either. You can see the panic flash across his face. And maybe that would have just been a weird moment if not for everything that followed. Because now, sources are saying Ashton appears in several of those private Diddy tapes the feds are reviewing. Tapes with underage girls, tapes with drugs. Tapes that were never meant to see the light of day, and Mila. Don't think she's a passive character in this drama. There are rumors she knew, that she warned him, that she kept her distance from those parties on purpose. Some even say she made offhand comments about the girls Ashton brought around. Comments hinting they were far too young. So now the question everyone's asking, what did Ashton know and when did he know it? Because the image of him as a savior, it's starting to fall apart. And if Ava really decides to speak publicly, it might collapse completely. There's this clip that keeps resurfacing online, a young Mila, it's barely 14, nervously laughing on a talk show while recounting how her first on-screen kiss was with Ashton Kutcher, who was 19 at the time. She talks about how scared she was, how the older cast members, including Danny Masterson, were making bets and daring Ashton to kiss her with tongue. It's played off as a harmless Hollywood memory. But now, people are looking at it differently. It's not just about the kiss. It's about how that environment was normalized. Ash was attractive, and I was a 14-year-old little girl, and I was extremely scared for my life. Sure. And he, he was very nice about it. He was like, oh, don't worry. So I was like, okay. A teenage girl in a room full of grown men pressured to perform intimacy for laughs. And who was right there in the middle of it all? Ashton Kutcher, the same man who went on to build his public image around protecting vulnerable kids. Fast forward a few years, and Ashton is crying in front of Congress, describing the horrors of child exploitation. He says he's seen footage from FBI raids, unwatchable things involving children. The room claps. Social media praises him. And nobody questions whether the man behind this speech might have skeletons of his own. But then, Danny Masterson, his co-star from that 70s show, gets convicted. Multiple women come forward saying he raped them. The evidence is brutal. And how do Ashton and Mila respond? They write letters to the judge asking for leniency, call him a role model, say he's been misunderstood. The backlash is immediate. People are furious. Ashton's credibility takes a major hit. He steps down from Thorn, his own anti-trafficking organization, claiming he doesn't want to be a distraction. But it's too late. People are finally asking the questions they should have asked a long time ago. How deep does this go? Insiders close to the federal investigation into Diddy's alleged trafficking ring claim there are hours of surveillance footage, recordings from inside Diddy's penthouses, on his yacht, and at his so-called freak-offs. These tapes, reportedly filled with disturbing content, were allegedly used as blackmail against high-profile guests. And Ashton, he shows up in more than one of them, not in the background, not by accident. Sources say he's seen looking uncomfortable, surrounded by girls who clearly don't look of age. It's not clear what he's doing or saying, but his presence alone is raising red flags. Then there's the alleged audio recording, one captured at Diddy's studio, where 3 voices are heard, joking about initiations and saying, "Welcome to the industry," in a way that sounds far more sinister than playful. One of those voices, according to online whisperers, belongs to Ashton Kutcher. Nothing's confirmed yet, no official statement, no tape released, but the rumors are gaining momentum. It's too many coincidences, too many stories starting to line up. And while Ashton's name keeps popping up, Mila's presence, or rather absence, is becoming just as loud. She's gone silent. No interviews, no social posts, no paparazzi shots with Ashton. It's like she vanished from the public eye. Right when the heat turned up, some believe she's protecting herself. Others think she's preparing for fallout. Because if Ava does speak up, and she's reportedly preparing a formal statement, Mila's knowledge or her decision to stay quiet will absolutely come under the microscope. Ava's story paints a chilling picture being brought into rooms. She didn't understand being introduced to industry friends by people she trusted, Ashton included. True, that's not just betrayal, that's complicity. And with tapes, audio, and now whispers of sealed testimony linking his name to multiple events, the walls might be closing in. Ava's name wasn't known to the public for years. Diddy kept her out of the spotlight, raising her like a daughter, while the industry knew better than to ask questions. But insiders always whispered. Some claim she was gifted to Diddy as part of a shady deal with a struggling model. Others believed she was the child of someone silenced, someone who had no choice but to hand her over. Either way, Ava grew up watching everything, and she remembers all of it. According to those close to her, the breaking point came after the federal raids, when agents stormed Diddy's properties and started collecting hard drives, phones, security footage. Ava realized the truth couldn't stay hidden forever. So she began leaking details, not through public statements at first, but through proxies. People in her circle who started dropping hints online, screenshots, guest lists, contexts no outsider could have guessed. And the one name that kept coming up. Ashton Kutcher. Sources claim Ava identified Ashton's name on at least 3 private guest lists tied to Diddy's most exclusive events. These weren't parties the press ever covered. These were off-the-books invitations. And allegedly filled with cameras no one was supposed to know about. And Ashton wasn't just on the list. He was reportedly seen on surveillance tapes, seated close to Diddy, chatting with underage guests, and at one point even helping coordinate logistics for the night. There's a rumor floating that Ashton started cooperating with the FBI in early 2024, that he was advised to distance himself from Diddy and stop attending his events. Legal sources suggest his lawyers warned him about possible subpoena exposure if he didn't step away fast. Supposedly, Mila echoed those warnings. But distancing yourself after the damage is done doesn't clean the slate, especially not when people suspect you knew what was happening the whole time. Whispers online mention something even bigger: a so-called doomsday file, a sealed folder collected during the raids, allegedly containing hours of unedited footage from multiple events, hundreds of pages of NDAs, and even audio transcripts of high-profile conversations. Insiders claim that if this file goes public, it could take down half of Hollywood. And Ashton's name is reportedly listed in it multiple times. One federal source, speaking anonymously through a whistleblower blog, described the footage as career-ending at best, criminal at worst. They said the biggest fear isn't whether it's real, but how many people were complicit. How many of them turned a blind eye, or worse, played an active role. And then there's Brittany Murphy, a name that keeps popping up in this twisted web.